We're set to go, and there's the threat of sunshine at Knockhill. Round 19 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship, and we'll join commentators Tim Harvey and David Addison.
And we're looking forward, of course, to the first of 3 races at one of the most spectacular venues that we come to in the championship. Tim, we always get good racing here.
We get great racing here, and no surprise that almost all of the field, bar 4 cars near the back, are starting on the faster soft tyre.
Now, it is Ash Sutton on pole position yet again. Every qualifying session has been claimed by Napa Racing UK. Can he hang on in there? Because this is going to be tough.
He can. I mean, he's got to survive the start, the first and second and third corner. But, you know, I do think the BMWs will be quick in this race. They really work well on the soft tyre. They get the tyre in much quicker than the normal medium or hard tyre. So don't discount the BMWs, but certainly Ash has it all in his pocket. Depends a bit how circumspect he is over the curbs as well, because he doesn't want to break the car. That loses lap time, so we'll see.
So the cars get away for the first of the 2 green flag laps that they get. Chance to get some warmth into the Goodyear tyres. It is Ash Sutton on pole position, as we say, but a welcome return to the championship for Rob Huff. Let's see if we can check in with the World Touring Car Champion. Rob, welcome back. I think you've surprised a few people by rocking up here this weekend. What's the aim?
Hi, I think you probably just missed me there. I had to take my steering wheel off and put it back on straight again because we had about 60 degrees of right hand down, so that was quite fun. Yeah, it's been brilliant so far. You know, I've really enjoyed it. Just so nice to be back in the paddock, seeing so many old and familiar faces, and obviously trying to get my head around this this Cooper that I'm driving this weekend. Totally different to obviously what we're used to. Hybrid systems involved, which makes life a bit more difficult, or when you're just trying to learn how to drive it. But yeah, I mean, you know, we had some struggles yesterday in the practice sessions, but hopefully today we managed to get on top of them. Qualifying, just a few little bits. We had a bit of a problem with the turbo, so we've had to replace the turbo overnight. And then a bit of me and my driving. I'm not used to throwing the cars over the curbs, so it's amazing quite how brutal you can be with these BTCC cars and get away with them. So yeah, it's great to be back, like I say, and not the ideal starting position, but we'll give it a thrash and see how we get on.
It's been a long time since you raced here as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in junior formulas when I was growing up, we never really came here, so I did 1 year of Formula Vauxhall Junior here, then Clio Cup a little bit later, and then the next time and the last time was BTC 2004. So yeah, the track's not changed much. The BTC fans haven't changed a great deal. Everyone's very welcoming, and yeah, just very happy to be back, actually.
Rob, it's good to have you back. We'll leave you to it. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
So good to have Rob Huff back in the championship. Lots of people say, I can't believe he's doing this. And what he has said is, you know, no door is closed. As there, Dan Rowbottom's car has stopped on track, and that was as they were queuing up to go to the hairpin. Now, whether it's stalled or whether it's got a more severe problem, we will find out. It's great to have Huffy here. You never know, we could see a lot more of him next year. Now, let's just, before we worry about Dan Rowbottom's car, let's look at the grid for this first race. Ash Sutton on pole position. 7 times a winner this year. Josh Cook, the Independent Championship leader, with him at the front, ahead of Jake Hill and Rory Butcher, then Tom Ingram and Adam Morgan. Aidan Moffat and Colin Turkington will start 7th and 8th, ahead of Tom Chilton, and then Dan Lloyd to round out the top 10. 11th, it's Ricky Collard, ahead of Aaron Taylor-Smith, and then Dan Rowbottom should be 13th on the grid. Ronan Pearson starting 14th, ahead of Andrew Watson and Sam Osborne. George Gamble will go from 17th alongside Stephen Jelly, who is the first of those on the medium tyre. Then it's Jade Edwards and Rob Huff. He's on mediums. Dexter Patterson's 21st. Mikey Doble, the Jack Sears Trophy leader, 22nd. He's on mediums as well. Dan Camish, 23rd after an off in qualifying and damage to the car. Jack Butel is alongside the triple winner, and Jack is on mediums ahead of Michael Crease and Nick Halstead, with Daryl De Leon rounding out the grid. But there is this big question mark now over Dan Rowbottom's Ford, which is going nowhere, and that is not only disastrous for this race, but for the rest of the day, because it's going to condemn him to the back for race 2, and progress from there is going to be very tough again.
Yeah, and having chosen the soft tyre, that's ruined that allocation, if you like. But the cars did all come to a stop as they queued up.
Yeah.
So whether the car stalled and he couldn't restart it or not, I don't know. But clearly the car has failed to get going on its own accord. So he will have to be moved off. I expect we'll have a delayed start.
And therefore potentially 1 lap off the race distance, because they'll have to do another formation lap. That just explains not only who's on what tyre, but also how many laps of hybrid, which is based on championship position. So Ash Sutton has 5 laps to the 10 of Josh Cook, to the 8 of Jake Hill. Rory Butcher with the full 12. Tom Ingram has 6. Adam Morgan has 12. So does Aidan Moffat. 7 laps for Colin Turkington, and then 12 the maximum for Tom Chilton and Dan Lloyd within the first 5 rows of the grid. 12 laps, as I say, the maximum hybrid allocation. Now, Dan Rowbottom's car is going to be pushed onto that cut through at the hairpin, and that means that it is unlikely to get to the pit lane, unlikely to be able to start the race, and so Dan Rowbottom misses this race, and we'll have to start race 2 from the back of the grid. Incidentally, we've touched on Rob Huff for Team Hard, as the 5-second board is shown. This is about to be Team Hard's 1,200th race start across all cars. Lights out, blast off at Knockhill. Great getaway by Ash Sutton. Josh Cook slots in behind him as they go down towards Duffers Dip for the first time. Jake Hill not able to split the front row cars, and he's going to be third as they head into Duffers Dip for the first time. So a good getaway by Sutton as they drop down now into McIntyre's. The Ford holds sway.
Yeah, Josh Cook did a good job of closing off Jake Hill in the faster starting rear-wheel drive BMW, not to allow him through into second place. In fact, it's Rory Butcher that's putting Hill under a lot of pressure. Look, there they are side by side as Butcher tries to take advantage of the BMW, maybe taking a little bit longer to warm its tyres up.
On board with Butcher on the back of Hill then as they come down to the hairpin. Jake Hill covers off the inside line. Rory Butcher goes to the outside, hoping that he's going to be able to make a move. Tom Ingram gets up the inside. Adam Morgan is right there as well. Ingram versus Butcher, elbows out as they battle their way up across the line. Here comes Ingram though. He's got the inside line, and the Hyundai's going to go ahead of the Toyota because he will have the line diving down towards Duffers Dip. Ingram brakes as late as he dares. Through he goes.
Yeah, great opportunist move by Ingram. Saw the gap open up when Butcher went to the outside of Hill. There was a little bit of contact on the exit of the hairpin. Just the sort of thing that could break the rear suspension, but Ingram goes through with a great move.
So that puts him up into 4th. He's got to go defensive, though, because Rory Butcher is right there behind him. Remember, Butcher 12 laps of hybrid, only 6 laps of the hybrid use for Ingram, who just about stays ahead coming out of Clark's. Jack Butel started from the pits. Dan Rowbottom, as you can see, standing by the car, did not start at all as the leaders are nose to tail heading down towards the hairpin. Butcher with a big late braking effort to get right back onto the tail of Ingram. Contact avoided. Top 2 trying to break away. There they are. Look, first and second. Sutton ahead of Cook, then a gap. Jake Hill the best of the rest.
Well, we always say that the fastest man on cold tyres on lap 1 is Ash Sutton, but Josh Cook is absolutely keeping him on his toes. More than honest, just a slight gap between them. Look, Cook is right there with him. Let's watch the line through the chicane. See how much curb Sutton takes there. Not as much as Cook.
Out of the chicane, lots of curb taken by Butcher, and Cook now is thinking about where to make the move. So as the drivers start to think about using hybrid, already 1 lap of it used by Cook, but Sutton has not touched his yet, so he's hanging on to the lead on pure pace as Josh Cook lines up to have his first serious bid on the outside line. Brakes hard, going down towards the hairpin, can't do it on the outside, looks for the undercut coming out of the corner. Sutton just stays ahead.
Yeah, but with more hybrid available to him, Cook now trying to pass on the outside. He won't get through there because Sutton will definitely be able to brake later on the inside and claim that corner, but he's putting him under great pressure. This bodes really well for the race.
Does indeed, doesn't it? And it's one of the raciest performances we've seen out of the One Motorsport and Starline Racing Hondas this year. In a sense, a home race. One of the drivers, Aidan Moffat, of course, Scottish driver, as out wide goes Sutton, through goes Cook, they touch. Josh Cook takes the lead. Fantastic move, and he's done it. Damage to both cars, but Cookie is through. He leads.
And do you know what caused that? What caused that was Sutton not taking full commitment through the curbs. He ended up half committing, hit the top of the curb, launched himself high. Watch this, Sutton's car, top of the curb, launches it over. Cook, meanwhile, straddles it, gets a much better drive off the corner. And this is exactly the sort of thing I predicted, that Sutton, trying to be careful, ends up in more problems.
Look at the debris fly as well, so littering the road. Is the debris from, I think, Sutton's Ford as they drop into Duffers Dip. But it's the Honda in the lead of Josh Cook, who, remember, has yet to have an outright win this season. He's ahead of his mate as we look at earlier dramas coming out of Duffers Dip, which involve the Napa Racing Ford. Dan Camish, one of the drivers, trying to make progress, and then the 2 Fords get themselves together. Osborne chopping across the front of Camish.
Yeah, he didn't see him coming there. Oh, side by side, back again. Sutton on the outside of Clark curve with Cook. I wonder if Cook made a mistake that time through the chicane.
So down to the hairpin with Jake Hill looking pretty threatening in third place now. It's almost 3 for the lead. Cook has the inside line. Hill has a full dive up the inside to try and make a move against Sutton. It's a drag race up the hill. Josh Cook secures the lead once more. Now Sutton is under attack from Hill. 4th is Ingram, 5th is Butcher, 6th is Morgan as they come over the timing line. Cook trying to get away, thinking, go on Ash, you battle with Jake, let me build a gap.
Yeah, I don't think there's any distance going to be gained between these three, though, but Hill is quite happy to see these two taking bits out of each other. Let's watch them again through the chicane, see who does what.
And worried faces and pleased faces, and a very proud father in Simon Hill watching on from the garage. As in the meantime, you have then the 3 leaders coming through Clark's, and on that lap, no effort made by Sutton because, of course, he's in this invidious position now, trying to attack, trying to defend.
Yeah, but he knows he has to get points. Oh, look at the rain coming down, and they're coming to the hairpin. The rain is absolutely coming down. This is going to change the whole complexion of the race.
It was forecast, and the tap has been turned on. So it's a very greasy circuit, but in front of us, the brollies are going up, fans are heading for some shelter, wipers are on. This part of the circuit looks dry, but down at the hairpin, it's properly wet as Cook leads the way. Sutton is 2nd. 3rd is Jake Hill. Down they head towards McIntyre's. In 4th place, Ingram is closing on this 3-way battle ahead of him. It is still Butcher 5th ahead of Morgan. Turkington's up into 7th ahead of Moffat. Then it's Chilton and Collard to round out the top 10.
Well, unfortunately, Cook is the one that discovers it first. It does look heavier now. Look, really heavy there coming out of Clark. This section is the wettest, and they're on slicks. Oh, it's really hot, really wet. This is near aquaplaning situation. Sutton looking to go down the inside. There's going to be somebody goes straight on. You can almost guarantee it.
But now you'll see who the wet weather specialists are, who the heroes are, and who drives best within the conditions. Ian Watson, the clerk of the course, will, yes, want to keep the race going, but he also needs to run a safe race. Here, of course, it looks a lot better. Not bone dry, but better as Cook clips the curb and bounces out wide. Absolutely, both of them then fighting the cars. And as they come now out of McIntyre, Sutton goes for the inside line, gets a face full of Honda, can't find a way through.
And this is the Sutton dilemma. Do I attack or do I just sit there? Into the pits, that's Sam Osborne's car. We saw heavy contact earlier with his teammate Dan Camish. Jelly in, putting wets on.
And also in is Ronan Pearson and Rob Huff and Daryl DeLeon and Jack Newtell. So in a sense, if you're at the back, you've nothing to lose by going on to wets here. Down at the hairpin, it looks horrible, doesn't it? And now we've got virtually the leading 5 for the lead. Cook under attack from Sutton. Hill, Ingram is still 4th. Butcher 5th, then 6th. Adam Morgan is right with them. Fantastic race this, partly helped by the weather, partly helped by the nature of Knockhill. And Rory Butcher using very local experience to good use here. He's right back in that leading gaggle as they're rejoining his Chiltern. And he's just stayed on the lead lap as Cook goes very, very wide as he runs out of traction. He's back on the road. Here comes Hill to have a go at Sutton. Cook has hung on to the advantage somehow.
Well, the rain has now spread all the way up the main straight. It's falling everywhere now, so very shortly there won't be any dry track left. This was coming into turn 1, a huge slide. Brilliantly held by Cook. It was dry there the last time. Look, it's wet everywhere. Yeah. They're going to have to stop for wets now. Now is the time to stop for wets, absolutely.
And that's going to play into the hands of those that made the earlier stop. There is Rob Huff ready to rejoin. You've got to stay on the lead lap if you can. Jack Newtell, who started in the pits, is back in the pits. So Chilton then, he's on wet, coming out of the hairpin ahead of this leading line, but stretches now all the way back to 6th place of Aidan Moffat. And look, Chilton on his wet, see how he's escaping. Ingram comes in, he's the first of the leading group to bail, so Ingram becomes the focus of attention. Who else is going to come in? Nobody else in that leading group has as yet blinked, apart from Adam Morgan. He's bailed as well, hasn't he? So Morgan is in for wets as well. He was running in that leading group. He's pitted. So Ingram and Morgan, they are the 2 to watch from that leading group.
I mean, the rain actually is passing through. I hate to say it, but the rain, where it started, which was down at the hairpin, it's actually stopped raining there now.
Yeah, there were still some umbrellas up in front of us at the hairpin as that's for the lead. Cook somehow hanging on to all of this as Ash Sutton tries to get up the inside, and he has got up the inside. This should be a lead change coming into the hairpin. It's going to be the last of the late breakers as the window peels out on the left-hand side of Cook's Honda. Ash Sutton on the inside line should get the race lead back. Josh Cook tries to stay on the outside, which he does, goes through on the drag up the hill. Josh Cook with his nose in front. Jake Hill goes for the pit lane this time, as Ash Sutton gets crowd into the inside. Cook leads, and then he's got to slow the car down for Duffer's Dip. Takes a big, deep breath. Round the outside comes Sutton. There's contact, and off goes Cook. He's heading for the tyres. Josh Cook off the road, into the gravel, into retirement.
Well, all it takes in slippery conditions is the slightest touch, but I do feel for Josh Cook. He'd driven beautifully in really tricky conditions, as Sutton continues to drive his front-wheel drive car as though it's a rear-wheel drive. But look, the rain isn't falling as much there. Can you see how it's abated a little bit? And he may just be able to keep his slicks alive. If there's no more rain, he may have done the right thing.
Others off the road there, which I think is Jade Edwards having a moment coming out of the McIntyre's right-hander. So, poor old Josh Cook, he's going to be at the back of the grid for race 2 as Rory Butcher and Aidan Moffat squabble coming up out of the hairpin. Darrell De Leon is behind them. He is now on wets, but he's a lap down as he comes up the hill. But look at the difference in speed there between slicks and wets. Ingram is the other man to keep an eye on, and he is currently being shown as in 11th place. So Sutton leading Moffat now in 2nd place, 2.2 seconds between them. Rory Butcher is 3rd. Dan Lloyd is up to 5th, ahead of Camish, and into 6th place now is Michael Crease, partly because of the demise of Josh Cook, partly because of the order shuffling. With pit stops and off the road goes Dan Lloyd. So he was 4th, and he's fallen foul of the conditions.
Yeah, I mean, those that were, some of those at the back of, like Dan Camish, has elected to stay on slicks and try and roll the dice with everyone else stopping for, or a lot of people stopping for wets.
Josh Cook out of the car, surveys the damage. Suspended toe is the signal from the marshal as the race leader, Ash Sutton, continues to hold sway and continues to stay out there, hoping that the road will come back to him late race. His last lap was a 57.7, so about 6 seconds a lap slower than in the dry. But
interestingly, if you compare his 57.7 with the first car on wets, which I think will be Ingram's last lap was a 56. We'll see when he comes over the line. But I don't think there's a huge difference in lap times. There's definitely a huge difference in risk, though, isn't there?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So admirably shown just there by Ash Sutton, but he's trying his hardest. This is a replay of the incident. They're going to be side by side coming through turn 1. They're both inch. I mean, it's. In fairness, Sutton was on the outside of the track and Cookie just slid into the side of him, which was enough to spin. Look, Cookie couldn't hold it tight enough, could he? Just couldn't hold it tight enough.
No, there was a very, very slight deviation in the line, wasn't there, from Josh Cook, who had done the fastest lap of the race. This was Dan Lloyd's demise. Oh, he got a big bit of help in that, didn't he? Was that Aaron Taylor-Smith behind him? It was, so that was contact. And Dan Lloyd off the road, so he was 4th and no longer is. Sutton, Moffat, Butcher. Now, how about this? Dan Camish is 4th. He started 23rd. He stayed out, so other people have dropped off the road. Other people have pitted. The rain is coming down more heavily at the hairpin now, so the Harvey weather app is going to be recalibrated in a moment, but it's getting wetter again, and this might play back into the hands of the likes of Brennan Pearson there, and Tom Ingram, for example, and Hill and Morgan, who went onto wets early.
Yeah, because the rain has come back, this gamble of staying on slicks is not going to work. Ingram is going to be the big beneficiary, I can guarantee you. The rain's coming down really hard again now.
So it might not be August weather, but it's great touring car weather, isn't it? As the race leader then is Sutton from Moffat. That gap was up to 3.3 seconds last time, but now it is Ash Sutton leading the way with Aidan Moffat 6 seconds back. Rory Butcher is 3rd. That is Michael Crease off the road, waiting to see where the best of the wet-shod cars is going to be. As we await a 4th place car, it is Dan Camish who is a distant 4th across the line, and Ash Sutton paddles his way through the chicane. Now it looks properly horrible. He's just managed to catch the slide. He's off, he's through the gravel, he's back on the road. Ash Sutton is having a horrible drive out there. He's on the wrong tyres for the conditions, and he's just got to either survive this as best he can, or sooner or later he's got to bail. Ingram is 6th. He's the best on the wets. His last lap was a 57.2. Sutton's last was a 57.6, but this one's going to be much slower.
Exactly. The conditions have really gone away now for the... Oh, the safety car's out. Well, this is going to change the whole complexion. A, those that have already changed tyres are going to massively close up their track position in terms of closing up the gaps. So this is not what Sutton wanted to see.
And this, I think, is to give the teams the option, because is there a...
I think
Josh
it's
Cook's
because
car?
I think Crease's car is
maybe,
Crease's
yeah.
car went off. He tried to restart but got wheel spin, didn't want to go through the gravel.
You're quite right.
And couldn't reverse.
Yes.
But look, that is absolutely torrential.
So, slicks. The top 5 all on slick tyres. 7 seconds was the gap between Sutton and Moffat. That's going to come down under the safety car. Yes, Michael Crease, we had to see him go off the road. You're quite right, Tim. And the car you're looking from now is in 3rd place, Rory Butcher, again on slicks.
The only thing that would help is if you pit stop now, you lose less time because the car's going round slowly. It's clearly going to be wets as soon as this race restarts. It's a big ask to gamble it, but I would personally be going in the pits for wets now, even if you're in the first 5 positions.
You're right about not losing as much time, but because everyone's tightly bunched, you're going to lose a whole heap of places on.
But you get more time to recover once it goes green.
Exactly, then behind a whole line of cars on wet. So you're right, it is a big gamble. That was the Josh Cook demise. But yeah, if you go to wets now, you're going to be at the back of the pack.
But you're going to Paul O'Neill seeing that. But you're going to plummet down the order once the race restarts, because you've lost temperature in the slick tyres anyway. The track is completely waterlogged. You're going to need to be on wets when you restart.
Well, dare I say, the rain has eased again, and it's a little bit brighter. So this constant quandary for the teams remains, and the weather has been coming from the direction of the hairpin. The safety car is going to be in this lap, so the one that gambles is Dan Camish, and that's going to just drop him all the way back down the field.
But he would do anyway if he stayed out, because the majority of the field are already on wets, and they would just steam past him. Not sure if it's it's more than that. Look, it's more than that. They're having to do something to the car, so there's something else. That wasn't just a tyre change.
All right, Crease and Lloyd in also. We know that Michael Crease has been off the road. We know that Dan Lloyd has been off the road. So if you survive this, you're going to finish quite well. And Sutton versus Moffat versus Butcher, the top 3 on slicks. Ingram is the best of the wets in 4th. The safety car will be in. We're going to go back racing this time. And as Ash Sutton stacks them all up down to the hairpin, the cars directly behind aren't on the lead lap, but they're on wets and they're going to pounce.
Ingram is going to win this race. Oh, look, Sutton comes in the pits. It's too late.
It is. So we go green for a 26-lap race now, and in and amongst all of that traffic, the car we're looking for now is going to be Aidan Moffat to see whether he stays out or whether he is going to inherit the race lead. It'll be a short-term lead if he does stay out, and he does. So Aidan Moffat is the race leader, but you can see on the wet tyres, Jack Butel goes storming past, and Moffat's going to run out of road. He's on the grass, and then this is a real nightmare for him because it is so slippery. Butcher goes through, and Moffat therefore loses the race lead to Butcher, but Ingram is just charging.
Well, you know, if you're on slicks, you're either going to crash or you're just going to plummet down the order. There was absolutely no point in staying out on slicks. So I'm not surprised that Sutton's come in, but
Butcher was the leader. Butcher is in the gravel. And what did you say about crashing?
I said you're either going to crash or you're going to plummet down the order.
And he's done well. So Butcher is off, Butcher is out, and so Aidan Moffat tiptoes around Rory Butcher, and that is Aidan Moffat, who is also about to retire with big damage. He may well have tangled with Butcher, but the pair of them are out of the race. The safety car again.
It's easy to be wise sitting here, isn't it? But when you're in the car, here we see the incident developing.
So that's Butcher going through.
Oh, Moffat just goes straight off the road, as does Butcher. In fact, I think they've both just gone off the road together.
And then Butcher hit the BMW, and that's what did for him. It was the contact with the BM that pipped him across the road. And Moffat's damage has been done by being off the road and going through the gravel. But that's Rory Butcher at the top of the chicane. Safety car again, not surprisingly. Safety car deployed once more.
But like I said, Ingram's in the lead. He's going to score maximum points out of this.
Except Jake Hill is in 2nd place and might have other ideas. And Tom Chilton is 3rd. This is Aidan Moffat's view on board. There is Butcher going through. If they did touch, it was the very lightest of contacts, but this is Moffat going off the road. Couldn't stop the car. And look, all the damage is done as he just careers across the grass.
Exactly the same as Camish in qualifying. That grass is very bumpy, and you could hear the revs jump up as the car bounced over the bumps.
So, race order, Tom Ingram leads the way, looking for a second win of the season and, of course, looking for the championship lead come the end of the day. Jake Hill is second, Tom Chilton is third, and then for fourth place, it should be Adam Morgan, but we're being told he's back in the pits. So Adam Morgan, who's already gone on to wets early, has come in. Was that the BMW that was hit by the Toyota and therefore has picked up damage, which will in turn give Andrew Watson in the Vauxhall fourth place. It would put Stephen Jelley up to fifth. It would put Ricky Collard into sixth. Knockhill looking like a cross between Cowdenbeath stock car track and a rally stage at the moment with all the mud on it and all the bits of debris and battered cars.
And of course the safety car hasn't actually picked up the leader. Local man Aidan Moffat, one of 4 Scottish drivers, very disappointed. But you know, the drivers have to make the call. You can't. You have to make the call when you're out in a situation like that, and you must recognise when, you know, you're just not going to make any more progress.
Rory Butcher with broken steering, broken suspension, so they're trying to get the car through the access point, but it won't turn because in that contact the steering's broken.
Yeah.
Right, that's the leader, Tom Ingram. So the safety car needs to try to find him. They need to do a wave by to let the cars that aren't required to go through. So Ingram, Hill, Chilton, Watson, Jelley, Collard. 7th is Ronan Pearson, 8th Aaron Taylor-Smith, 9th would be Ash Sutton, and 10th would be George Gamble. Right, so the safety car team wave through the drivers they don't need.
Well, the interesting will be if Sutton is actually in 9th place, what progress could he make in the last few laps? He was very quick in the wet when they had free practice, so maybe he can still recover something from this absolutely dramatic race.
So this is only race 1. It's got the race 3 feel to it, but what a race.
Well, I said at the top of the programme, Knockhill always delivers the unpredictable. You can't odds the weather, you can't odds the narrowness and track confines. It always throws up drama.
And wet, dry races, changeable conditions, always add to the fascination. Right, safety car now jogs on because it's found the race leader. Dan Lloyd is behind Ingram, but he's not second. He's a lap down in 12th place. So the car you're looking for second is actually Jake Hill. Now look, just to protect Ingram even further, all those back markers between him and Hill.
Yeah, he's got a nice safety net. But, you know, I have to give hats off to Tom Ingram. He made the call to come in. We saw him dive into the pits when he was in a very strong 4th place, on 4th or 5th place, wasn't he? But he made the call. And that's a driver using his noggin.
Good Scottish term.
Yes. For heed. Using his heed.
Don't build up your part. Darryl De Leon has got big damage. He's been off the road under the safety car. He ripped a wheel off. He's certainly got damage. So the safety car period may have to be elongated to get this car out of the way now.
Yeah, well, we're probably running out of recovery vehicles, aren't we? He looks like he's going to try and get it back, actually.
Ian Watson, the clerk of the course, I suspect he's going to have a busy time between races with lots of judicials to look at as well. Darryl De Leon has to park the car.
Look, look at the wheel spin. He can't even move it on the grass. It's too wet.
Yeah.
Now that's going to, if that's considered a dangerous place, the safety car is going to stay out, isn't it?
Yes.
And that won't be easy to move. And we are already on lap 20. Well, starting lap 23.
And I think you're right. It would be a dangerous place, especially in these conditions. So Tom Ingram leads the way. We don't like finishing races behind the safety car, but as the clock ticks on down in terms of the laps, then we may end up there. We'll wait and see what is decided upon for race control. But Darryl De Leon is going nowhere. You can't even get it off the grass now.
No, it's stuck there. That would need a recovery truck, or a tow, which is not easy on the grass in itself, is it?
No.
I have a nasty feeling we may end up under safety cars. But we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Or a red flag, because we've done 84% of the race. The result could be declared, not that we want that, I'm not wishing the race to be a red flag, nor end behind the safety car, but Ian Watson, the clerk of the course, vastly experienced race official, will be looking at these pictures. He'll be looking at Well, you can see out of the window, he'll be looking at the heavens, and we're going to have 27 laps. I think the safety car might well be in this time, but you'll see. We haven't had that confirmed, but the fact that we've got a new race distance on the screen, no, the lights are still on, but we're being told 27 laps. So safety car is staying out for the moment. Marvin Humphreys, the XLR8 team manager, strides down to look at the next screen, to have a look at the data, to look at the state of the track, no doubt. So 27 laps will be the maximum, and we are now on lap 24. Yeah,
and I mean, the conditions haven't improved, have they? So for the people that were on slicks hoping that it would dry out, it was never going to dry at all. I mean, part of the reason they may have stayed on it is because in qualifying yesterday, the track dried so fast that there was perhaps this impression that maybe it would dry quicker than it had if the rain moved up. This is the championship as it stands, and that 6 points is reversed. Tom Ingram would lead by 6 points.
Ash Sutton down to second, Jake Hill in third. He would gain a place, wouldn't he, therefore, over Colin Turkington. So it's been a fascinating race and could have big repercussions for the championship. This could be one of those races that has lots of footage shown in just about every programme for the rest of the year now, because there are so many bits in it that have created drama and could shape the way the championship ends up. This is the reigning champion, emphasis on the reigning at the moment, and the man that leads the race, Tom Ingram, as he comes up towards the line.
Safety car light still on, doing another lap. But I tell you what, the Team Hard boys have got a lot of work to do, haven't they? We've seen damage to just about all the cars, apart, I think, from Rob Huff's.
And where is Rob in the order after all of these dramas? He's in 15th, which will put him in the points.
Yeah.
In his first race here for the best part of 20 years. Down through McIntyre's comes Tom Ingram then as the race leader. There in second place is Jake Hill. And Tom Chilton, winner in not dissimilar conditions at Donington, remember, at the start of the year. He is third. Andrew Watson, fourth. And that's another team with a lot of work to do. 2 badly damaged cars for One Motorsport. Safety car in this lap.
OK, well, we're going to have a quick sprint to the end. Lots of back markers at the front.
And we shouldn't be overtaking under a safety car, so there are people then out of position.
But that's people backing up as the safety car slows down. They'll need to get in position, but this is so much advantage Ingram, I can't tell you.
Let's hope nobody goes off at that part of the circuit to add to Team Hard woes. But here comes Ingram then, who has got all of those back markers between himself and Jake Hill. So Ingram for the win is almost a given as long as he stays on the road. But the real question is who's going to finish behind in second, third, fourth for the other key point scoring places. We're back to green. We've got now, as they head over the line, 2 to run, and it's Tom Ingram in the lead as Jake Hill gets on with trying to fight through the spray and the traffic to get after the race leader. Down they come into the right of Duffer's Dip. Colin Turkington goes through. He is in 13th, a lap down.
Yeah, and Sutton in 9th, but don't forget there's a lot of back markers in the front that will hold traffic up a little bit, so maybe they'll back up to Sutton and he'll be able to make some progress. There he is in the background, trying to find a way through. So that 6-point live championship position may be reduced.
2 laps and counting though, and there is the lapped car of Dan Camish that has rejoined the race in 17th place, so his snakes and ladders day up the order, drops down out of the points again as Ingram comes down towards the hairpin then. This is where the rain started many laps ago. You can see how wet it has become, and Jake Hill still trying to battle his way through the traffic. Chilton going through for 3rd place, and there is Andrew Watson now. He is under attack from Stephen Jelly. So there, look, the Vauxhall and the BMW coming over the line. That is a battle for position with Ricky Collard's Toyota in 6th place right with them as well.
Yeah, and I mean, impossible for the flag marshals to know exactly who's who and give blue flags to some cars and not to others. And the cars themselves don't really know who's behind them, whether they're racing for position or not, which is why the cars in front, immediately in front of Jake Hill, are still fighting him.
So Tom Ingram is on his last lap then, and what a race this has turned out to be. It was the right time to pit, and circumstances subsequent to the pit stop have helped to a degree, but Tom Ingram it is who is going to come down now to the hairpin. He is on target for a 27th career win, a 2nd of the season, and to win race 1 of the day. It's been wet, it's been dry, it has been dramatic. Tom Ingram wins race 1 at Knockhill. Checkered flag to the reigning champion. Jake Hill accelerates to the flag for 2nd place, and 3rd back on the podium for Tom Chilton. Is Andrew Watson going to hang on to 4th place? He's got Stephen Jelly right with him as they come up to the line. It is Watson for 4th, Jelly 5th, Collard 6th, Sutton 7th ahead of Taylor Smith, Pearson 9th, his best yet in the championship, and George Gamble upholding honour for Toyota, making it 2 of the 3 in the top 10. He takes 10th place. This was Sutton diving up the inside of Pearson on that last lap to go through, squeezed a place away from him. But what a race it has been. Great drive by Tom Ingram to master those conditions, and even staying out for a couple of laps in the heavy deluge of rain was quite something.
Well, he did extremely well. Hats off to Tom Ingram and the Accelerate team for making the right call at the right time, trusting their judgment, and it paid off in the end. 2 of their cars in the top 3, Chiltern as well. Sutton recovered 2 places on the restart. He was 9th, if you remember, ended up 7th.
Tom Ingram wins race 1 at Knockhill ahead of Jake Hill and Tom Chiltern, who was another early stopper to go on wets. 4th, Andrew Watson, an independent win for the Vauxhall driver ahead of Stephen Jelly and then Ricky Collard. Ash Sutton 7th, having led more laps than anybody, it felt like. Aaron Taylor-Smith 8th ahead of Ronan Pearson, and then George Gamble rounding out the top 10. Mikey Doble 11th ahead of Dan Lloyd, Colin Turkington 13th, under attack from Dexter Patterson, and a point on his return to the championship for Rob Huff. Dan Camish 16th ahead of Nick Halstead and Adam Morgan, Jade Edwards 19th and Sam Osborne in 20th place. Jack Butel 21st, Michael Crease was off the road, Darryl DeLeon was off, Aidan Moffat was off, Rory Butcher was off, Josh Cook was off, and Dan Rowbottom never got going. There's a lot to try to unravel and unpick from race 1, which is won by Tom Ingram. So, for the championship, Tom Ingram is ahead. 4 points is the margin over Ash Sutton. Jake Hill is up to 3rd ahead of Colin Turkington. Dan Camish stays 5th. Josh Cook stays 6th. Dan Rowbottom is 7th. Then it's Adam Morgan ahead of Ricky Collard and Rory Butcher. So the cars now have to go through the technical checks, and of course, wet weather always throws something else at the teams, because if you start the car for the dry but it ends up in the wet, then let's have a look at the ride height being checked. So, it's not looking very good on that front left corner of Tom Ingram's car. Phil Danbury, the scrutineer, was on the radio, and that's not going under.
That is a fail. That is a fail. And the reason is because they've changed tyres. They've gone on to wets. The wets, when they're worn, reduce the circumference and the car fails.
Yeah.
He's going to fail. It's going to be nothing.
And it's going to be the back of the grid for race 2.
Oh, dear.
So that would give Jake Hill, we're being slightly speculative here, but you've seen the evidence like we have. Jake Hill potentially could be the race winner. There's a lot more drama to come, even after the checkered flag.